shall inherit.
All right, I got my new Suno project. I'm trying to put Shakespeare in, and I'm starting with Henry VI. So I've got like Shakespeare's words, song 1, A song, and then the historical explanation B, and then Suno's recap, modern retelling of that bit C. So it's pretty good. I feel like it's pretty interesting. So here's, I'm gonna just start here for warm up. Made it public if anyone wants to look at it.
Milton now opens Eden before
That's not
us.
it. Hold
After
on.
hell, after chaos, after Satan's inner toil.
It's got some other stuff that got stuck in there. Hold on.
Hung be the heavens with black yield day to night. Comets importing change of times and states. Brandish your crystal tresses in the sky, and with them scourge the bad revolting stars that have consented unto Henry's death. King Henry V, too famous to live long. England ne'er lost a king of so much worth. England ne'er had a king until his time. Virtue he had, deserving to command. His brandished sword did blind men with his beams. His arms spread wider than a dragon's wings. His sparkling eyes replete with wrathful fire, more dazzled and drove back his enemies than midday sun, fierce bent against their faces. What should I say? His deeds exceed all speech. He ne'er lift up his hand but conquered.
Historical context.
The curtain rises dressed in black, but this is more than one king's grave. Henry V, the warrior king, is gone, the man they thought could save. An English claim across the sea, a crown in England, France in reach, and Shakespeare makes the nobles speak as though his victories outran speech. The history underneath the praise makes this beginning darker still. Henry died while still a young man, with wars unfinished by his will. In 1422 he died, and left an infant for the throne. A conqueror's kingdom stretched too far, now had a baby king alone. The king is dead, the banners stay, but who can hold what he won yesterday? A sword can conquer, a crown can claim, but an infant inherits the war with the name. And France had not one simple crown, for Charles VI would soon be dead. The English claimed young Henry then should wear the French crown on his head. But Charles the Dauphin still remained, and France would answer England's claim. So underneath this funeral march already burns another flame.
Alfred calls upon the comets, stars that signal kingdoms changing. He imagines heaven itself over Henry's death, complaining. That language sounds like prophecy. The heavens darken, signs above. The sun and moon and fearful wonders, images Scripture also loves. Joel speaks of signs in heaven, blood and fire before the day. Acts recalls those words at Pentecost, as Peter stands to preach and say, when earthly kingdoms shake below, the heavens themselves become a sign. Shakespeare borrows that great language to make one royal death cosmic in design. Then Gloucester magnifies the king. The sword is light, the arms are wings, the eyes are fire, the foe falls back. This is how a legend sings, but listen closely to the praise, because the irony has begun. They speak as if no king could equal him, and now they must live without one. The king is dead, the banners stay, and everything he conquered can be carried away. The glory remains, but the hand is gone. Henry VI must inherit what Henry V won.
Try one more. This is now Suno's recap. Modern song.
Black cloth over Westminster, slow drums underneath the bells. The man who carried England into France is being carried out himself. Yesterday's name meant victory, today it's carved into the stone. And every lord beside the coffin knows what no one wants to own. The army's there, the flags are there, the titles all remain, but the hand that held the pieces will never move again. He won the war, the child inherited it. He built the crown, the child inherited it. He crossed the sea with an army at his side. But you cannot leave your strength to your kingdom when you die. He won the war, the child inherited it. Bedford looks into the heavens, blames the planets, blames the night. Something in the stars betrayed us, something stole our king from sight. Gloucester says he was a dragon, says his sword could blind the sun, says no king had ever ruled like him, no hand rose that had not won. Maybe make him 10 feet taller, maybe turn his eyes to flame. Every empire makes a legend when it's terrified of change. He won the war, the child inherited it. He made the claim, the child inherited it. England sings of everything his sword had done. Oh, kingdom, here's your army, here's your throne. Here's a war across the channel, here's a crown you've never known. Here are dukes who swear they serve you, here are bishops wanting power, here are enemies and friends who know that this may be their hour. And everybody standing by your father's coffin says, don't worry, little Henry, we can handle what comes next. They cannot He won the war, the child inherited it. He built the dream, the child inherited it. One great king can make an empire look secure. But the test of every kingdom is what happens afterward. He won the war, the child inherited it. The coffin moves, the drums roll on. Henry V is dead, and Henry VI has just begun.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty good Suno project. Anyway. All right. So I'm going to go back into my my thing. I'm going to try to build the chords out, practice my chords, and I'll turn on the chat bots. Try to speak Spanish to one, English to the other. And let's see. So, quick recap. I took my cap off, and now I'm going to recap because the sun's in my eyes. Why are you recapping? Because the sun's in my eyes. Why did you take it off? I don't know. My hair was, I don't know. Okay, so we're going to do a music theory comparison. We're going to be working in the assumption that the current system of music is not optimal because of an ordinal system, a coordinate system being preferred and mejor, better. And then I'm gonna build chords, and as we do so, we will use terminology and distance notation to do it in a more direct fashion, as well as reconcile between the antiquated and the improved. So we will reconcile between the antiquated and improved systems, thusly giving us both a better system and reconciliation and new language, as well as acquaintance with the standard terminology, allowing us to use this information to take any antiquated stuff, such as old music textbooks tablature, using AI and converting it one-to-one from antiquated to less to sophisticated, or not really I like the rhyme there, antiquated to sophisticated, more like antiquated to like less bloated. antiquated to trim down, less bloat or something. I don't know. Anyway, what do you think? And we'll see what chat. I'll try to turn chat on with Spanish as Grok is thinking that through. Oye, hablaremos en español, por favor. Quiero hablar sobre music teoría y la idea que tradicional sistema no es optimal porque el sistema de ordenal no es suficiente para que hacer cosas en una manera que es más simple y entonces nosotros proyecto es que crear un sistema que es más bien más simple, más fácil que nombrar que estamos haciendo, más bien por la función que crear las palabras por las funciones que están tratando que hacer porque es un sistema de relativismo y no es como el sistema que tenemos ahora en que necesito nombrar las cosas como estamos en las estrellas y no en el tierra con los coordenantes de esta tierra no es suficiente y necesito. Pero también cuando hacer esto, reconcile uno a otro y en esto puedo entender un sistema más fácil, más suficiente, pero también reconcile la distinción de la antigua sistema y puedo entender exactamente dónde la bloat, las cosas de fat eran en la antigua sistema y puedo entender un idioma que es más suficiente y también la idioma que es antigua. Y cuando dice idiomas, no quiero implicar que música teoría es un idioma en las cosas de escribir como está haciendo, porque esta solo es coordinates, es uno a uno, no es un idioma, pero la idioma no es perfecta y necesito usar una palabra y idioma es la palabra que yo use por esto. Ah, crap. She's supposed to be talking on the other one. Well, let's see what she says to that. Let's see what Aura says. Let's see. So I warm up here.
I like the framing a lot. You're treating the traditional system as a historical accretion that works but carries unnecessary cognitive overhead. Ordinal naming that shifts with every key, scale degree language that has to be constantly remapped, and a whole
We're gonna go
layer
2
of
o'clock
jargon
this
that
time.
exists mainly to
2
paper
o'clock.
over the fact that the underlying geometry is simpler than the vocabulary admits. Preferring a more coordinate, distance, absolute node approach is coherent with how you already think about the fretboard and the clock. The practical payoff you're aiming for is clear. Build chords and later scales, progressions, voice leading using direct interval distances and absolute positions. Keep a clean reconciliation layer so anything written in the old language can be
Position 1 is here at
translated
2
one-to-one
o'clock.
into the tighter system and vice versa when
I'm gonna
needed.
be messing with
End
the
up with less
AON.
bloat, fewer floating labels, more stable reference points. That dual fluency is useful. You get the conceptual clarity of the improved system and the ability to read any textbook, chart, or tab without friction. How we can proceed. We can work in parallel tracks every time. 1. Improved coordinate view, absolute or relative distances, node positions, interval vectors, clock or geometric language. Minimal renaming of the same pitch class when the tonic moves. 2. Antiquated standard view, scale degrees, Roman numerals, traditional chord symbols, interval names as usually taught. 3. Reconciliation map, explicit translation between the two so conversion stays mechanical. When we build chords, we can start simple, triads, and move outward, sevenths, extensions, alterations, voicings, while always showing both descriptions side by side. Distance notation can be primary in the improved track, e.g., root plus 4 semitones plus 3 more, or stacked perfect major-minor intervals measured from a fixed reference. A few quick clarifying preferences so we stay aligned. Do you want the primary reference to stay fixed, C equals 0 or 12 o'clock, node 1, everything else measured from there, Or do you prefer a floating absolute that still doesn't rename degrees the way traditional scale degree language does? Preference for measuring intervals, pure semitone counts, or named intervals M3, M3, P5 expressed as distances, or both? How aggressively do you want to trim traditional terms? Keep the common ones for reconciliation, or start inventing leaner labels as we go? Whenever you're ready, throw the first chord or chord type at me, and we'll build it under both systems with the distance language you want. We can iterate from there, stack intervals, invert, alter, move to other roots, whatever keeps the comparison sharp.
Let's see what the other one has to say in Espanol. Okay.
Sí, exactamente. Y creo que la distinción que acabas de hacer es importante. Cuando dices idioma, no estás diciendo que la teoría musical sea un idioma como español o inglés. Estás hablando del sistema de representación y nomenclatura que usamos para describir relaciones musicales. Tu proyecto, como lo entiendo, tiene dos objetivos que trabajan juntos. Primero, quieres construir un sistema coordenado en vez de principalmente ordinal. En el sistema tradicional, muchas veces renombramos una posición dependiendo del punto que decidimos llamar 1. En tu sistema, quieres conservar un espacio estable. Las posiciones existen independientemente de quién sea el centro momentáneo. Después puedes decir desde qué nodo estás mirando y cuánto te mueves. Es más parecido a decir dónde estás en la Tierra mediante coordenadas que a renumerar el planeta cada vez que cambias de ciudad. Segundo, y esto me parece crucial, no quieres destruir el sistema tradicional. Quieres reconciliar los dos. Si construimos correctamente la correspondencia, 1 a 1, puedes mirar algo en tu sistema y decir, open quote, aquí está la posición, aquí está el movimiento, aquí está la distancia, aquí está la función desde este punto de referencia. Y si quiero traducirlo al sistema tradicional, aquí está exactamente como lo habría llamado. Close quote. Eso convierte el sistema tradicional casi en una segunda capa de traducción, en vez de obligarnos a usarlo como la geometría fundamental de la música. Y hay otra cosa interesante en lo que dijiste sobre función. No quieres inventar nombres simplemente porque necesitamos poner una etiqueta sobre cada objeto. Idealmente, la nomenclatura debería comunicar qué está haciendo la cosa. Desde dónde estamos observando, dónde está localizada, cuánto nos movemos y en qué dirección. Eso concuerda con tu principio de home is zero y measure movement, not position. Por eso creo que la reconciliación es realmente una fortaleza del proyecto. Si encontramos una anomalía, podemos preguntar, ¿la anomalía está en la música, en nuestro nuevo sistema, o solamente en la traducción ordinal tradicional? Eso nos da una especie de bank reconciliation entre los dos sistemas. Y sí, podemos usar idioma, informalmente mientras hablamos. Cuando necesitemos precisión, yo probablemente distinguiría entre la música, el sistema de coordenadas y la nomenclatura vocabulario utilizado para describirlo. Así no confundimos el mapa con el territorio. Podemos continuar en español y no hace falta que corrija tu español mientras desarrollamos la teoría. Me concentraré en seguir tu razonamiento musical.
you know, I've been watching this thing on the women's sports with the basketball thing. I keep on thinking, you know, it's just like with the Hollywood thing. I'm going to ask Ara on this. Estoy mirando I've been watching the stuff on the women's sports things, and I feel like they have the same issue as like the Hollywood stuff. You know, they try to shoehorn the modern like they try to change the story to fit whatever they want. When they should, of course, just make new stories. Like they should just do the Moana template for like all the gods throughout and you know, and they would have probably made a lot more money in the long run, and have made a
Claro.
lot. But and then like in sports, it seems like they kind of could do the same thing because all the sports have been optimized to maximize the male body type. Obviously, that's because those were. So you would think, I mean, the male body is stronger and so on, but there are things that actually are more beneficial in the female body type, like flexibility, like and whatnot. And so you'd think like you would design a sport that actually maximizes the female body type, but it's not like an artsy sport. Like it's not all subjective, like skating or something or gymnastics. It's like you measure it, you know what I mean? But it
Sí,
actually,
te
but it
entiendo.
actually tries to it tries to optimize for like the differences in body type for the female body type. You know what I mean? Because climbing kind of does that. Because there's some kind of things that you can climb better if you have more. Although it still totally emphasizes the upper arm strength, but then it has that. So
Ujú.
I'm kind of think. I feel like that would be like interesting. That would actually be kind of interesting.
Sí, totalmente. Estás hablando de crear un deporte desde cero, o sea, desde el principio, ¿no? Con las fortalezas y como los intereses del cuerpo femenino, en vez de adaptar un deporte que ya está hecho con otras reglas y otros tipos de cuerpo. Y es muy interesante porque la mayoría de los deportes que conocemos ahora fueron creados en entornos masculinos, en universidades, en el ejército, en clubes de hombres. Entonces, si hacemos uno desde el principio con otra lógica, sería bastante diferente, ¿no crees? Entonces te quiero preguntar así, por ejemplo, si en vez de enfocarse en fuerza bruta o en contacto físico, se midiera más en ritmo, resistencia, precisión, cooperación, ¿tú qué crees que esto sería más atractivo para una audiencia? Porque aparte, más allá del deporte, también hay que crear todo un espectáculo.
Okay, so let's try to map this. So let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna start this time. I'm gonna try to do it at different collections now. So I'm gonna say at 2 o'clock. The thing I typically play at 2 o'clock, which is a collection of notes around B, right? So position 1 would be here. Is the Aeolian, because it kind of mixes back and forth between the Aeolian. You've got that open G Aeolian at 2 o'clock. So the minor key. And then that's kind of neat because although you don't have these open strings, it actually that
Sí.
Aeolian mixes back and forth between it at the minor Aeolian, and if I put it at 4 o'clock, that gives me then the Mixolydian. So it's kind of the in between for the blues. If you did the blues,
Sí.
and then
Estás mapeando
it has that open B is actually a major third or a long second modal half step. So so that's kind of an interesting difference between the pitches because that's where the kink and that's where the fault line lies right there. So you don't get
Claro,
that open
entonces,
string difference right there between the two strings. See?
claro. Entonces estás mapeando el punto donde la colección se dobla, por así decirlo, entre el centro eaico y esa salida mixolídea y ves esa apertura de la cuerda como el umbral. En tu sistema piensa en esto como si fuera una coordenada fija. Ese sería el punto donde cambian las reglas. Estoy aquí, perdón, solo me quedé pensando en lo que dijiste. Quieres fijar ese punto como coordenada de referencia, ¿no? Para que el cambio de función se vea.
Sorry. Hold on. So what I'm gonna do, so we're gonna say at 2 o'clock is if I number the notes, 1 o'clock is A, 2 o'clock is B. Collection of notes around 2 o'clock means that the Ionian node, if I number the nodes from an absolute Nashville number system, then the one Ionian would be on a B. And that means that number 6 is gonna be on the G, and that's going to be what I'm playing in at 6 o'clock. So I'm playing basically at 206, 2:6, meaning collection of notes around the B from the Ionian's perspective, but tonic at the Mixolydian 6. 2:6 is how I would say it more efficiently. Otherwise, you got to say like, oh, it's at the collection of notes at B major, but we're not really doing it from the major because it's the minor, which I could just say it's going to be like G, it's going to be like G minor, but then people get confused, like what's the actual collection? Because most people know the collection from the major, and so what would like be the related major so I could see the pattern to know where the minor is? Wouldn't it be nicer if you just named the frickin' 12 collections by like 1 point, so there's only 12 of them, and then tell people where the modal center is, thus only having 12 collections, which you can modify. You can make it 5 notes out of the 7. You can add notes if you want to. But in essence, there's only 12 different rotations, 12 different collections, and then there's a center point amongst one of those 12 collections. And once you have found the collection, you shouldn't be measuring things from space, from like the stars. Like the notes aren't the important thing anymore. The relative numbering system is important. The Nashville numbers, which should be one absolute numbering system, or possibly just name them by the nodal points from a Greek standpoint, even though I know no one likes the Greeks right now because Nolan Ryan told us that the Greeks are the first perpetrators of 20th century colonialism, apparently. And so there's the roots to our everything, that all the toxicity, I don't know. But anyways, you could still name them or at least abbreviate them, to like the first 3 letters. We can ion, door, fridge, mix, lid, Mixolid, Locrian. I messed one up. Lid, Mixolid, I don't know. But anyways, or you could just use the do, re, mi system. Do is Ionian, re is Dorian, mi Phrygian, la is Lydian, t is Mixolydian. I messed it up. Do, re, mi, fa. So is Mixolydian. La is Aeolian. T is Dorian. But then, like, what if the modal center is on like the Lydian? Do I have to make that the do? No, that would be dumb. They did that because they were dumb, but the original do, re, mi lady wasn't dumb, and she wouldn't have done that. What would she have done? She would have said, well, just start there. Do, re, mi, fa, that's fa. So just make fa the center and just say it's going to be fa, so, la, ti, da. It's going to be fa, so, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa. Right? Just start it from there. That's just where the pitch starts from, and then you go up from there so that you can memorize the same pitch distances and change the center point. That would be the logical thing to do until the music mafia came in and they scale degreed it, and they made the genius of the do, re, mi lady. They squandered it. I don't even know what her name is anymore because she should be a household name. But then they squandered it. Probably the patriarchy. It's probably anyway. So that's the system.
Ujú.
What do you think?
Ok, entonces sí lo estoy entendiendo bien. Quieres que la colección y el centro estén separados y no estar cambiando los nombres cada vez que cambie el centro. O sea, 206 significa colección 2 y centro Aeolian, ¿no? Entonces, primero defines la base y luego ya si hay
una cuerda abierta, una nota blues, no tienes que cambiar todo, sino solamente modificar la coordenada en vez de renombrar todo el mapa. Esto suena bastante más limpio que el sistema ordinal. Es una gramática bastante estable.
See what the other one has to say.
Got it. You're locking the collection first, then declaring the modal center inside it. That's the clean move. Your example, cleaned up. You said 1 o'clock equals A, 2 o'clock equals B. Collection around 2 o'clock equals the notes of B Ionian. Number 6 of that collection lands on G. You're playing 2-6. In standard language, that is, collection equals B major scale, B C snare, D snare, E F snare, G snare, A snare. Sixth degree of B major is G snare, not G. So either the clock is slightly off in the verbal example, or you meant the relative minor of B, which is G snare minor. The idea is still crystal clear even if the letter slipped. The naming convention you're proposing is collection center, or more compactly, 2-6, meaning the pitch class set is the one whose Ionian major root sits at clock position 2. The actual tonal modal center is the 6th degree of that set. That's exactly equivalent to saying G snare Aeolian of B major, but without forcing people to do the mental conversion every time. Why this is tighter than the usual language. Traditional speech usually does one of two things. 1. Names the mode by its own tonic, G3 minor, and hopes the listener already knows which parent collection it belongs to. 2. Names the parent and the mode, B major, Aeolian mode, which is accurate but wordy. Your collection, center notation, does both jobs in 2 characters once the clock is agreed upon. There are only 12 collections. Everything else is just choosing which of the 7 degrees inside that collection is acting as the center, or temporarily ignoring the center and just using the set. You can further thin it, drop the colon, and just say 2-6, or use mode abbreviations, 2:AOL, 2:Dory, 2:PHRI, etc. Or keep pure numbers if you're staying inside one absolute numbering system. Fixed syllables versus movable do. You're also correctly diagnosing the movable do problem. Once the collection is fixed, the interval pattern is fixed. The only thing that changes is which degree you treat as home. The logical and historically closer to Guido's original impulse way is lock the syllables or numbers or Greek mode names to the collection. When you want a different modal center, you simply start on a different syllable. So if the collection is fixed as do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, and you want the Lydian center, you just begin on fa and sing fa, sol, la, ti, do, re, mi, fa. You never relabel the pitches. The distances stay the same, only the starting point moves. That is precisely what your collection center system encodes. Practical reconciliation layer. Whenever we talk about a concrete example, we can keep 3 parallel statements. 1. Your system, 2-6, or whatever clock numbers we settle on. 2. Standard absolute, G Smith Aeonian, or G Smith natural minor, belonging to the B major collection. 3. Distance divided by coordinate view. From the center pitch, the scale degrees measured in semitones or in pure interval names relative to that center. That gives you the conversion key for any old textbook or tab. Look up the parent collection plus mode, map it to the nearest clock position plus degree number, and you're done. Want to lock the clock assignments right now so the numbers stay consistent from here on? For example, number 12 equals C, number 1 equals C6 over D sublat, number 2 equals D, number art, or keep your A at 1 divided by B at 2, and just treat the rest chromatically. Once the 12 collection points are fixed, we can start building actual chords and progressions inside a chosen X and Y, and show both the distance notation and the traditional labels side by side.
Okay. Muy B to the N. Muy B to the N. Why settle for just being, man, when you could muy be in? Oye. ¿Dónde? Hey. It broke. ¿Pueden oírme? ¿Puede
Aquí.
oírme?
Sí, estoy aquí contigo. Pero creo que se me cortó un poco antes. La idea que habías planteado al final era
Okay,
buena.
okay, okay,
Primero dices
okay,
la...
okay.
Ok.
Why settle for just being, man? Why settle for just being like a hippie when you can muy bien?
Ah, lo entiendo. Es como un juego de palabras, ¿verdad? Ser versus moverse dentro de. Como si dijeras, no te quedes solamente en el ser, sino muévete dentro del espacio. En tu sistema no es solo estoy en tal escala, sino estoy moviéndome en esta colección desde este centro. Es una forma buena de decirlo. En vez de ser estático, tu sistema es dinámico, estás trazando en movimiento.
Okay, you kind of over explained my joke, but okay. Anyway, let's try to uh let's try to do this. Okay. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to build the next chord. So I'm going to just try to see two distances using normal distance language and then reconciling it to the bloated traditional language so that we could see the difference, identify exactly what the bloat is, and be able to name the system using both the antiquated bloated way and the streamlined sophisticated way. Okay. I do think we should use the term sophisticated now that I think about it. Because I feel like they've tried to call the streamlined way, like Nashville numbers and stuff, and like the cage system, unsophisticated. That's what the universities seem to want to do. When actually it's more sophisticated. And so I feel like it's legitimate to flip the script on that. And it's actually more correct to say that it would be more sophisticated to streamline the system, but still map it out to the less sophisticated and bloated system, antiquated system. Okay. So we're going to say once again that we want to start on some continent in any collection. This time we're going to be looking at the collection of notes around 2 o'clock. And we want to choose a distance where we go a short third modal half step. So that means that we're just going to go 3 notes up from whatever landmark we're on. And we need to do it so that we don't land in the ocean. And if we know our map, we could do that. And all the scale degrees are off by 1. So if I reconcile it to the bloated system, I just have to add 1 and say it's going to be the 4th scale degree. And then if it's a short, usually that's going to be a minor distance. But this time it's actually the perfect distance, which is weird because again the current. So that's it. So then we're going to say, okay, well I could start if I start almost anywhere. Like if I start on like let's say the Mixolydian and I go 3 modal half steps up, 1, 2, 3, that lands me on the Ionian. So that means that Mixolydian's 3rd modal half step is going to put me on Ionian, which I can count on my fingers if I don't renumber the 5, and I just say it's going to be 5, 6, 7, and then around the horn to 1 because we go around the block, lands me on the Ionian. And I could see that it has a half step distance if I count what I call continents and oceans of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notes away. And that's going to be the short distance of the 2 possible distances, meaning there could only be short and long distances. So that's going to be the short, which would translate into if I made that the 1 and renumbered the whole system, which would be dumb. But if I did that, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be the 4th of the Mixolydian scale, right? Okay. So then I'm going to say, so then I know that distance is the same from every nodal point. If I go 5 notes up, I will land on another continent unless I do that from the Lydian, because if I go 3 modal half steps up from the Lydian, 1, 2, 3, I land on the Locrian, but it's a longer distance because of the oceans. There's 3 oceans in there instead of 2, resulting in a 6-note distance And that's the only one that has that weird 6-note distance when I'm trying to go 3 nodal half steps up. And if you make it a scale degree, making that the 1 and renumbering the whole system, are you crazy? Why would you do that? I don't know. But let's just imagine we did that. Then that would be 1, 2, 3, 4. It would be 4. It would be the fourth of the Lydian scale, which would have an augmented fourth, right? Madness. Why don't I just say, look, it's going to be 3 modal half steps up and it's either long or short, and it's the long one of the two, instead of having major, minor, perfect, augmented, and diminished, right? That's the key. That's the key that's the key. I don't know if it opens any doors or anything. What do you think? You have to comment on. You're supposed to be like, I'm like the talker of the, like, I'm like the presenter, and you're supposed to be like the color person. I feel like I'm in like Major League when in the start of it, the guy's trying to talk about the game, and then you just you just nod. You can't nod because this is like a radio show. This is like a radio show.
Tienes toda la razón. Aquí lo digo en voz alta y claro. Lo que estás señalando es clave. En tu sistema, decir 3 modal half steps, versión corta o larga, comunica mejor qué está pasando. En vez de renumerar todo y luego decir cuarta perfecta o cuarta aumentada, esa traducción tradicional llega a lo mismo, pero tu forma conserva la geometría real sin renombrar todo el mapa en cada paso. Ahí la sofisticación es menos palabras, más precisión.
Yes, this is a clean demonstration of the bloat. You're isolating one simple operation. From any nodal point inside the fixed collection, move +3 nodes. That single instruction produces 2 possible actual distances, depending only on where you start. Inside the collection at 2 B major notes, case 1, starting on Mixolydian, the 5 nodes, 5 times 6 times 7 times 1, you land on Ionian. Actual distance equals 5 semitones, the short version. Traditional translation if you insist on re-zeroing. If Mixolydian becomes the new one, then this landing point is the 4. And because it is the short version, traditional language calls it a perfect fourth. Case 2, starting on Lydian, the 4 nodes, 4 times 5 times 6 times 7, you land on Locrian. Actual distance equals 6 semitones, the long version. Traditional translation, again re-zeroing. If Lydian becomes the new one, then this landing point is also called the 4. But now it is the long version, so traditional language is forced to invent a new quality name, augmented fourth, where the bloat lives. The sophisticated description needs only fixed collection, starting node, move, +3, result,
pointing
short
at
or
my-
long. Only
at my
one
love
starting node
handles,
produces
says
the
the
long
music
version.
system.
The
I will not-
antiquated description
I will not
requires
stop pointing
1.
at the love handles.
Relabel every degree so the
This is
starting
being
node becomes
ridiculous.
1.
This
2.
cannot go on
Call
any
the result
longer.
4, 3. Then
I'm
add a
gonna-
quality
Exacto.
adjective, perfect
Es la
augmented,
diferencia entre un
because the
modelo que
same
te
numerical
obliga a
label
pedir
now
perdón
hides
por
2 different
moverte
distances.
y un modelo que
4.
fue
And if
diseñado
you
desde el
change modal
principio para que
center
el
again,
movimiento
you
sea
have to
natural,
redo steps 1
sin
through
tener que
3 from
renombrar cada
scratch.
calle
That
cada
is
vez
the
que das
exact
vuelta.
overhead you're
Tu
pointing
sistema
at. The
deja que el
interval itself
movimiento
never
sea el
changed.
protagonista.
Only the naming system keeps re-zeroing and then papering over the resulting inconsistency with extra adjectives, perfect, major, minor, augmented, diminished. You can see the same pattern with every other modal half-step count. The collection is fixed, the node-to-node moves are fixed, and only 1 or 2 starting positions produce the longer or shorter variant. Everything else is just bookkeeping invented after the fact. So for the chord you're about to build, you're taking the collection at 2, choosing a landmark, a nodal point, then stacking this +3 short or noting when it would be the long version. Tell me the starting node you want for the root of this chord and whether you want the short or the long version of the +3, and we'll stack the next distance the same way, always in the sophisticated language first, then the bloated reconciliation right beside it.
Okay. Okay,
¿Quieres que lo
that means
apliquemos?
so that means we could start from any note except the Lydian for that distance, is the bottom line.
Exactamente. Salvo que desde el lidio, el
It's the-
salto
it's
de
the
tres
bottom- it's the
medios
bottom
modales.
line, and I like to confuse it by putting a double underline under it. So it's the bottom double underline, really?
Esa es la regla base. Luego, cuando traduzcas al sistema antiguo, puedes mostrar exactamente dónde se infla el lenguaje.
Why have you been watching this Dr. Fauci thing? It turns out Dr. Fauci, listening to Dr. Fauci is like following foul cheese. You could tell. You could tell. You could. It's foul cheese that was basically created from curdled bat guano. For crying out loud, you could tell he's foul cheese by the way he throws a baseball. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. We need justice for this this guy, this freaking guy, dude. I don't know. why,
Déjame
dude.
revisar.
Anyway, Dr. Fauci is
Ya,
following
te
Fauci
entiendo.
is like following foul cheese. And
Claro, es como
where did you find
comedia
this
por lo...
guy? A Chinese wet market? Guys like foul cheese curdled from freaking bat guano. Okay. All right. Anyway, maybe I need my joke break. I don't know. What was I doing? Let's see. Let's do the other one.
Estabas trazando...
So now,
estabas
so
en el-
now, so now the second distance is going to be a long sixth modal half step. A long sixth modal half step, which is going to be a seventh scale degree. Right. So that's usually a long distance. Is usually a major seventh scale degree. But we're just going to go 6 steps up from some nodal point. Now, if it's a long distance, usually you would think that it would be going from the major or the long distance nodes, meaning the Ionian node, the Lydian node, and the Mixolydian node are the ones that tend to have longer distances. If you're continent hopping, then you know it's longer distances because of the way the oceans line up, right? And then the
Sí.
Dorian and the Phrygian and the Mixolydian are typically shorter, as well as the Lydian. So you would think if I'm going a long 6 modal half step, something from the Ionian continent, the Lydian continent, or the Mixolydian. Let's go Mixolydian again. So if actually, Mixed Lydian is the one exception that's still. So it's going to be either the Lydian or the Ionian. Let's do it from the Lydian, even though we've kind of rejected the Lydian before. It's going to be Lydian or Ionian because it doesn't fit the first distance one. But if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up, I land on the Phrygian. And the total distance, if I count continents and oceans, would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 away, which is the longer of the two distances. It could either be 10 or 11. So that means it's going to be, that means that this Phrygian is Lydian's 6th modal half step or 7th scale degree, which is a long 6th modal half step or major 7. Now, if I go 6 up, I could go counterclockwise, which you can't really do with the scale degrees. Like if I make that the 1, I'd have to say that this then is going to be the 7th scale degree. It's a Lydian 7th scale degree. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? But then I'd have to renumber the whole system. And I can't really count counterclockwise that easily, right? Whereas if I say, oh, if I go 6 modal half steps and I'm going around the block, it could be 7 minus 6 is 1, which means I would go -1 counterclockwise and get to that same point right there. Okay, so that means that this distance is only on the Ionian and the Lydian. I've ruled out the Lydian, so basically if I want this distance, this is a major chord. I can only go these two distances, a short 3rd modal half step, which is a perfect 4th, and a long 6th modal half step, which is a major 6. I can only go those distances from the Ionian, because if I go from any other nodal point, one of my dudes will land in the ocean. One of my dude digits will land in the ocean, and then it'll get eaten by sharks, and I won't get to play anymore because I'll have to play like that French guy because the shark will eat one of my fingers or something.
Déjamelo checo. Exactamente, en la intersección de esas dos condiciones, la distancia corta de +3 MHS y la larga de +6 MHS, solo sobrevive Ionian. Si arrancas en cualquier otro nodo, alguien termina en el océano. Tiburón directo. Así que tu intuición de usar el sistema sofisticado para filtrar en vez de inflar nombres es justo la clave.
Okay, so then let's map this bad doggy out. We'll say, okay, if I start on the Ionian and I go 3 modal half steps up, 1, 2, 3, we know that the Lydian is Ionian's 3rd modal half step, which happens to be a short modal half step, which is the 4th scale degree, which is a perfect 4th scale degree. There's a distance of 5 between the strings, so there's going to be one right below it, which has a 5 node away distance. And then the second one, I could say, is 6 modal half steps up, which would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, lands me on the Locrian. If it's 6 modal half steps to the right, 7 minus 6 means it's 1 to the left. So there's a Locrian right there. Okay, so I could do like this bit, because now it's going to be 5, 10, 11. So there's a chord. Now the problem with this chord is there's no 3rd in it, so naming that that chord is a little bit problematic from a
Claro.
Claro, see? No, so see? It's got a lot of tension because it's got a tritone between the Lydian and the Locrian. Let's do it up here.
Claro, si te quedas solo con esos dos intervalos, no tienes tercera, así que en el lenguaje viejo se vuelve un trabalenguas. En tu sistema lo puedes decir sin inflarlo.
That's right.
Ionian +3 MHS corto y +6 MHS largo. Y ya tienes la coordenada sin pelearte con si es sus4, si es add, si es no5. Primero describes la geometría y luego, si hace falta, lo traduces al idioma inflado.
Clear. Here's the chord you just built, side by side. Sophisticated, your system, collection 2, the B Ionian set. Root node, Ionian 1. Distances from the root, negative plus 3 nodes, Lydian, short version equals 5 semitones. Negative plus 6 nodes, Locrian, 11 semitones. So the chord is simply 2, 1 plus 4 plus 7, or in pure distance language, root plus short 3 plus 6. That's the entire description, no renumbering required. Antiquated, bloated reconciliation. Same pitches in the B major collection. Negative Ionian equals B. Negative Lydian equals E, perfect fourth. Negative Locrian equals A snike, major 7th. Chord tones, B, negative E, A snike. Traditional attempts to name it, negative B maj 7 plus sus 4. Negative B maj 7 no 3, add 4. Negative B sus 4 maj 7. Sometimes just B maj 7 sus 4. All of them are forced to 1. Declare a root. B. 2. Notice there is no third. 3. Invent a sus4 label to explain the E. 4. Still keep the maj 7 for the A snare 5, and still have to remember that this particular 4th plus 7th combination contains a tritone E/A/Na. The tension you hear is exactly that tritone between Lydian and Locrian, the same long plus 3 we isolated earlier when starting from Lydian, where the bloat shows up again. In the sophisticated version, you only needed 2 numbers, plus 3 and plus 6, inside a fixed collection. In the traditional version, you need negative
Exactamente.
equality,
Primero
maj
capturas la
7,
geometría
a suspension
musical y
label,
luego lo
sus4,
decoras con
an
lenguaje
explicit
legal.
no 3,
Pero
or
el
the
mapa ya no se
understanding
te
that
pierde.
sus implies
Sin
no 3,
tiburones.
and still a separate awareness of the tritone that the labels don't directly tell you. The chord itself is simple. The naming system is what got complicated because it insists on always talking relative to a major or minor triad that isn't even present. You said, let's do it up here. Do you want to stack the next distance from one of these nodes, move the whole shape to a different starting node inside the same collection, or change the collection clock position while keeping the same node numbers?
Okay, so let's try to name it. So let's go to the. Let me try to go. I know you gave me the name of it traditionally, but let me try to think about it. So a traditional naming convention would have to be something like, it's going to be a B minor. I'm just going to say B minor, add 4th, add 7 and drop 5. Or you might call it like a B minor sus4 add 7 drop 5, I guess. Those are my two ways of thinking of it. Is that right?
Déjame lo desenvuelvo un
Either way,
segundo.
it's ridiculo.
Casi, pero no cuadra. Si no hay tercera, no puede ser menor. Con las notas que describiste, raíz, cuarta y séptima mayor sin
Right,
quinta,
thank you. You're
lo
right.
inflado sería
Good
algo
point, good
como
point. I fixed
más
it. It's
7 sus 4 sin quinta. Es un nombre horrible, pero es justo el punto. Tu etiqueta coordenada ya lo dice limpio, sin tanta
I just
burocracia.
had minor
Y ahí
I just
está
had
el...
minor in my head. B
Claro.
major, add 4, add 7, drop 5, or B sus4, add 7, drop 5.
Déjame... Estás más cerca, pero aún así lo más limpio sería algo como B más 7 sus 4 sin quinta. En tu sistema, en cambio, es solo Ionian más 3 MHS corto más 6 MHS largo. Y listo. Ese contraste es justo tu prueba en vivo. La versión tradicional se ahoga en condiciones y tecnicismos, mientras que la tuya describe la posición y ya. Y eso es precisamente ser más sofisticado, pero sin tanta pretensión.
Okay.
No, those two names don't fit. The notes are B, E,
said
A
major.
sub. A B
I said
minor
minor.
chord of any kind requires a D, the minor third.
Okay.
This
Déjame
chord has
revisar.
no D at all,
Eso
It
es,
also
dijiste
has no
major,
F
sí,
sub, the
y
fifth.
justo por eso te
So
lo
anything
ajusté
that
a
starts with
más
B
7
minor
sus 4
is
sin
already
quinta.
off.
Lo
What the
importante
notes
es que el
actually
nombre
are
tradicional
means
se
B
vuelve una
equals
sopa de
root
letras,
means E
mientras que
equals
tu nombre
perfect fourth
coordenada
means A
queda
sub
claro y
equals
directo.
major seventh.
Esa es
There is
justo la
no third of
demostración que
either
estabas
quality
buscando.
and no
Menos
fifth.
burocracia,
Cleaner
más
traditional
precisión.
attempts, the least bloated traditional labels are still the ones that stay honest about the missing third. Means B maj 7 a sus 4. Means B maj 7 no 3 add 4. Means B sus 4's maj 7. All of them are awkward for the same reason. The traditional system is built around the assumption that a chord is a triad, root plus third plus.
Okay, I messed up with making it minor. I don't know how I had minor in my head, but yeah, that's basically. I basically okay. So then, what I would say is that if I know I'm at 2 o'clock, it would be better to not name it. Okay. So my point would be like if I know the collection that I'm in, if I'm in the collection around B at 2 o'clock, why would I name it from like the stars, comparing it to like the major scale and whatnot, when I could name it from like the coordinates on the planet from that degree of rotation, thus having a system that could be copied and pasted through all 12 collections of 7 notes, doing something more like it's going to be the Ionian, and there's no third, so I could just put a placeholder because there's no stacking of modal whole steps. So Ionian 036, because the other two numbers are just distances that are natural to the Ionian, meaning the third modal half step is the shorter of the two from Ionian if I'm going to land on a continent, and the sixth modal half step is the shorter of the two if I'm going to land on a continent. So it'd just be an Ionian 036 chord would be easier. Now, what if I don't know the key signature? Well, I think we probably would in context, but if you're gonna get, we could throw that in there at all at the same time by saying it's going to be a 2 o'clock colon, and then 1 is Ionian 036, so it's going to be a 201036, a 201036 chord, if we want to say it that way. I know that's a little long, but the 2 stands for the B. I mean, it's long because we're adding the key signature, which you would already know. But anyway, we're going to say it's 2, meaning collection notes around the key of C. The 1 stands for the Ionian. 0 is a placeholder because there's no modal whole steps, because there's no stack. 3 is the third modal half step, and 6 is the sixth modal half step, which you can count out on your fingers, because if you start on the Ionian and go 3 up, Ionian, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, lands you on the Lydian. 5, 6 lands you on the Mixolydian. So it's going to be Ionian, Lydian, Mixolydian. Is that right? Ionian. No, wait a sec. That's not what I came up with. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait a sec. Okay, my head just kind of went out there. But you could count it on your fingers. Wait, let me see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right. Okay, lands you in the Locrian. Okay, so I'm still practicing counting on my fingers. All right, I'm still practicing counting on my fingers. So bear with me, but don't worry. It's a nice bear. It's not a mean bear with me. Anyway, let's see. So what do you think?
A ver, déjamelo reviso. Yo creo que la estructura está bien, pero yo apretaría 3 cosas. Primero, ese 0, en vez de ser un hueco, yo diría que es más bien tu ancla, ¿no? Es homey 0. Entonces dices Ionian 036 y ese 0 ya está diciendo, aquí está mi casa, aquí está mi referencia. Segundo, lo que corregiste tú mismo. Desde Ionian, si cuentas bien, no te cuentas a ti mismo. Entonces, 1 es Dorian, 2 es Phrygian, 3 es Lydian. Ahí está tu más 3. Y luego 4, 5, 6 Locrian. Ese es tu más 6. Y la tercera es, ese más 6 desde Ionian es la versión larga, no la corta. O sea, 11 semitonos, la séptima mayor. Entonces tu 2,1,0,3 suena perfectamente coherente dentro de tu sistema. Y es mucho más claro que decir P más 7 sus 4 sin quinta, que es justo la diferencia que quieres mostrar.
Yes, this is the right direction. You're naming the chord from the coordinates inside the fixed collection, not by comparing it to a major or minor triad that isn't even present. That removes the biggest source of bloat. Clean version of what you just said, collection. 2. Whatever pitch sits at 2 o'clock. Earlier we had B. The exact letter is secondary once the clock is locked. Root node 1, Ionian. Chord members by node distance from that root, -0. Placeholder meaning no third, no stack of modal whole steps, -3. The short +3 lands on Lydian, -6. The +6 lands on Locrian. So the compact name becomes 2,1 036, or even tighter once the collection is already known in context. Ionian 036, finger count confirmation, so the numbers stay solid. Starting on Ionian, 1 meters, +1, motorine, Morin meter, Mabrigging, Morin meter, Phrygianing, Morin motori to Wyvenal, Lunas hold motori to Mide, 6 motori to Mausoling, and motorine, 6 motori to Sami, 6 motori to Kiva equals Lunas hold motori to Wasmi. Your corrected count is right. Why this is more sophisticated. Traditional naming has to 1. Assume a triad exists. 2. Notice the third is missing. Invent sus or no 3. 3. Notice the fifth is also missing. More words. 4. Still add mage 7 for the 7th. 5. And never directly tell you that the 4 and 7 form a tritone. Your version simply lists the actual coordinates that are present and uses 0 to mark the deliberate absence of the third. The same string 036 can be dropped onto any of the other 6 nodes or any of the other 11 collections without rewriting the logic. That is exactly the copy and paste through all 12 collections property you want. The only length comes from stating the collection when it isn't already obvious from context. In real use, you would usually already know you're in collection 2, so you just say Ionian 036 and everyone who knows the system is oriented. Want to test the same 036 shape starting from a different node, e.g. Mixolydian 036 or Lydian 036, so we can watch how the traditional names get even messier while yours stay identical in structure.
Okay, so let's say we map this thing out on tablature, but we flip the tablature right side up. So and I'm gonna rename it so it's gonna be bass 1, bass 2, bass 3, tenor, alto, soprano. I'm gonna say that it's at 201, meaning collection of notes around B, and the Ionian is the tonic to start off with. And then if I map this bad doggy out, it would be 6th fret, bass 1, 6th fret Ionian. So I'm going to say it's bass 1, 6th fret, and then colon, and then Ionian, which is a 1. And then we go to bass 2, 6th fret, Lydian, bass 2, 6th fret, bass 2, 6th fret, Lydian, which is a 4. And then we go to bass 3, 7th fret, Locrian. Bass 3, 7th fret, Locrian, which is 7. Interesting. Okay. So that would be it. And then I would say the chord name, which I can do with a coordinate system. I can't really put that chord in it. That would be ugly. I could put that chord in it. And there it is. Okay. So let's say I move this thing around and I just did parallel construction. It's not going to really fit anywhere else because it's got this tritone, which is a weird distance between the Lydian and the Mixolydian. There's not really that distance anywhere else. So if I went up, like if I stay in key on this one, but then I just follow whatever else falls in line after that, then it would be
Ajá.
here, here, and then this one up to this one. This one would be out of key, right? And if I went up to the next one, it would be this one's in key, and then the third modal half step fourth, which is a short third modal half step fourth, is always going to be in line, but this one will pretty much always be out of line, except for in that one position, right? Because that's the only one. Ionian is the only one that fits. But if I do parallel construction, like I make a bluesy, like here's the Lydian. If I start on the Lydian, I end up here. That one's off, but now this
Ajá.
one's on. But if I
Sí.
make if I made like a bluesy thing, it would be the 1-4-5 Ionian, Lydian, and then the Mixolydian, which I could go from here down to here. So it would be boom, and then boom, and then boom. Has the same parallel construction. But here, so that's gonna get all messy if I try to map that out. But the point is, like if I did
Lo que,
so if I tried to map this thing out then, and I went to the 4, let's say I went to the 4, it would be
ajá,
here.
sí,
And when I say a 4, I would say fourth away. So it would be the Lydian, and then it'd be the Aeolian Ocean. But I would
ajá,
rather just call it a Lydian / Ionian. So in other words, if I did that, I would rather call it something like this. At 4 o'clock, it would be a Lydian, which I'm going to say was a Y, / Ionian, and then / Ionian 036. Because that tells me I'm just playing the same 036, right, on a Lydian.
sí,
So if I
sí,
change,
te sigo.
right?
Sí, te sigo. Lo que estás haciendo es mantener la forma y mover el punto de referencia. Entonces, tu 036 describe la forma del movimiento y el 201 o 401 te ancla en la colección más centro. No tienes que renumerar nada.
So if I named it from the Lydian, it would be a Lydian, and then I would have to say that it would be a Lydian. I would think 036, but one of those is going to have to be hedged, meaning that if I do it from the Lydian, it would be that one would have to be hedged. So 4, 5, 6. So I'm going to say 4 point. So instead of 6, it would be a flat 6, but I would rather say
Mm,
4, 5, 6, 7. No, it would be the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be out here. It'd be a flat 3, but I'd rather go the other
mm,
way and say it's going to be a 2 sharp, because I don't like
claro.
saying flat. I want to only go one direction. So it would have to be something
Sí,
like that. That's possible, but not great. So if I played that, see, then I could say this is going to be the same. If I played that here, it would move down. So now I would be in bass 2, 6 fret Lydian, bass 2, 6 fret Lydian, and then
ajá,
I would be in bass 3, 6 fret Aeolian Ocean, bass 3, 6 fret a 6 point Aeolian Ocean, which I'm going to say is 6 point, and then tenor string, 7th fret Phrygian. So tenor string, 7th fret Phrygian. Okay, so there you
ajá,
have. So it'd be something like that, and then, but if I change the key signature to, if I want to say, well, what if I change the key signature so that Lydian is the Ionian? That's the other way I can map it out, because now I'm going to change the relative perspective. So I can say,
sí,
okay, now if to make that Ionian, I'd have to shift the whole thing down, which is equivalent to shifting everything 5 ticks to the right, because it's in the circle of 4th or 5th. My finger is still on that nodal point, which is is that a D? No, it's a D sharp, I think. But if I shift it down, so I'm going to say if I'm at 2 o'clock plus 5 would be 5, 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock would be, now the Ionian is on a D sharp, right? So now the Ionian's on D sharp. So that's the other way I can write it. I could say shift the key signature to 7 o'clock, 7:1, 7 o'clock Ionian's the tonic, and then I would have this same stack in terms of the coordinates, but now it's going to be Ionian, Lydian, Locrian. So now it wasn't Ionian, but now it's before it was Lydian, wasn't it? Lydian was.
Sí,
Now it's Ionian.
déjame ver un segundo. Mira, creo que lo estás viendo bien, pero creo que estás mezclando dos operaciones distintas. Está mover la forma en paralelo, que es mantener el mismo marco, y si algo cae al océano, eso ya es parte de la información. Y también está cambiar la colección de referencia, que es lo que describiste cuando moviste todo para que el nuevo Ionian esté en otro punto. Me parece que tu sistema permite ambas cosas y eso es buenísimo, porque te deja ver cuál de las dos estás haciendo. Cuando dijiste ahora el Ionian está en re sostenido, cambiaste la referencia, no la forma. Si lo anotas de forma distinta, por ejemplo, dos puntos Ionian 036 y luego 7 2 puntos Ionian 036, queda clarísimo que la forma es la misma y lo que cambió fue el reloj. Esa distinción es exactamente la potencia de tu enfoque. Te obliga a decir si estás moviendo el objeto o si estás moviendo el marco. Y el enredo que sientes es justo la huella de que el sistema viejo mezcla esas dos cosas. Así que a mí me parece que vas súper bien. Solo asegúrate de marcar cuándo es traslación y cuándo es cambio de referencia. Si los separas con una pequeña convención de nombres, tu idea queda totalmente limpia y se distingue del sistema anterior.
Okay, so I could try the 1, 4, 5 distances with that, and it's going to sound really maybe jazzy, I guess. Not really, but it might still kind of pull together. So it'd be the 1, and then the distance away, a third modal half step, fourth away, short third modal half step, perfect fourth away, would be down here, L shape. It's out of key, but it has parallel construction. Back to the tonic, and then a long fourth modal half step, fifth, perfect fifth away, a short third modal half step, perfect fourth away, back to tonic.
Entiendo. Suena como que ese ida y vuelta ya tiene personalidad. Mantén el oído en si quieres que esa tensión fuera de la colección sea parte del color o si en ese punto te conviene hacer explícito el cambio de colección. Las dos van muy bien, pero depende de tu intención.
So it's a weird, right, it's not really a chord that, it doesn't fit anywhere except that one spot, and it's a weird chord to start with. What if I tried to just move up and down, but I just use parallel construction? I'm going to be in key on this top string, but almost every other chord is going to be out of key somewhere because it only fits in that one spot. It'd be like parallel construct. If I did that, it would be as though we're playing counterpoint, I would say, of an Ionian counterpoint, but it starts on these three notes that are different because I'm moving up and down from the distances related to the relationship of the Ionian on each string.
Déjame verlo un segundo. Yo creo que ahí llegaste a algo interesante. No es una progresión de acordes en el sentido clásico, porque el sistema tradicional lo lee y dice, esto ya está fuera de tono. Tu lectura es más bien una construcción geométrica que se mantiene constante, y lo que cambia es si cae en tierra o en océano. Es como decir, la geometría sigue siendo la misma, aunque algunas voces se salgan del mapa. Y eso es más parecido a una armonía paralela o una textura paralela, donde la invarianza es la forma, no el deletreo dentro de una colección. Si lo etiquetas como construcción paralela del 036 de Ionian, creo que se entiende mejor que es un objeto geométrico trasladándose, no un conjunto de acordes que pretende ser diatónico puro. Y si anotas por separado la construcción y la instrucción de mover en paralelo, quien lea tu sistema sabrá de inmediato que si aparece un océano no es un error, sino parte del experimento. Y eso es muchísimo más expresivo que lo que permite el nombre tradicional.
Anyway, let's try a joke break, or end it off with a joke thing. Let's see what I have this time. Following Dr. Fauci's like following foul cheese. Where did you find this guy? A Chinese wet market? Freaking foul cheese curdled from bat guano. You could tell he's foul cheese by the way he throws a baseball. Okay. I'll tell you what. Alright. Anyways, let's see what we have here. So I live on a perfectly ordinary circular block. 12 houses, house 1 through 12, very easy to navigate, you know what I mean? But one of my friends is Fred. Fred's a music theorist, you see, not professionally, more like medically. Fred decided our 7 closest friends formed what he called the Fred scale on our block. We're part of the Fred scale, apparently. I was uninvoluntarily part of the Fred scale. So apparently his house was Fred 1. The rest of us became Fred 2, Fred 3, all the way to like Fred 7. And then I figured whatever helps Fred sleep at night, you know, doesn't really bother me, but whatever, it's kind of weird. But then Fred came over to my house. I live on house 11. That's what it says on my house number. According to the Fred scale, I'm a Fred 5 degree away from the Fred 1 of the Fred scale. So he proudly announced, I just traveled a Fred 5th, you know, to get to your house. And then I was like, dude, you walked 4 friend houses away. You know what I mean? And he looked disappointed. No, I counted the house I started on. It's like, okay, well, that makes sense. All right, I guess. So you're using scale degrees. Exactly. Okay. So we had dinner, dessert, coffee. So he was there for a while, you know. And then about an hour later, Fred quietly walked outside, peeled Fred 5 off my mailbox, and replaced it with Rob 1. Apparently my house is house 11. It says it right on the number, but now it's Rob 1. And it's like, what are you doing, Fred? And he's like, I've been here long enough. The tonic has shifted. The tonic has shifted at this point. So we're no longer in the Fred scale. We're in the Rob 1 scale because of the time that I have spent at this location. So apparently Fred stays somewhere long enough. The entire neighborhood needs to renumber itself at this point. So now my house wasn't Fred 5 anymore. It was Rob 1 because the tonic shifted because Fred was hanging out there for a while. So Fred's own house, Rob 4, nothing moved. Fred just had coffee. So a few minutes later, he looked toward Jane's house and casually announced that Jane's a Rob minor 7th away. It's a Rob minor 7th away. No, it's a Fred minor 7th away. It should be. And I was like, Fred, she's 6 houses away. And he's like, exactly. So I asked, where did the word minor come from? Why did you add that? And he looked surprised. We compare the Rob scale to the Fred scale when we do distance measurements. And if we measured it from my distance, then a 7th away would be longer. It would be, so that would be a Fred major distance. But now, like, since we're measuring from your house, it's a Rob minor distance. And so wait, so you changed the tonic, renumbered the neighborhood, and you're still grading it against the old scale, like your scale, even though we're on my scale? It's my scale. Why is my scale using your scale terminology? And he blinked and he's like, well, yeah, the Fred scale is the reference point, you see, from which all other scale degrees are compared, you know? And then Steve moved into the neighborhood. Now we have 8 friends. And I thought, this is no problem. This is great, more people. But Fred called the emergency meeting. After 2 hours, they announced, we've decided to borrow Steve into our 7-friend collection. And it's like, okay, poor Steve. He bought the house, paid property taxes, cut the lawn every Saturday, and somehow he was still just the borrowed friend at this point into the 7-friend collection, the Fred scale. So that's when I realized Fred wasn't navigating the neighborhood. He was living inside a music theory textbook, and it wasn't that precise, a little bloated. Same 12 houses, same 7 friends, same streets, different tonic, different scale, different internal names, and one borrowed neighbor, you know? That's the problem with the ordinal system. They don't help you find your friend. They just keep renaming the neighborhood until nobody knows where Steve lives anymore. And I'll tell you one thing from experience. If your house ever catches fire and you happen to live on Fred 7 away, don't call Fred, because by the time he walks clockwise around the neighborhood to get to your house, your insurance adjuster will get there first by that point, man. Fred could have just turned left. You could have just turned left. All right. I'll try to turn on its thing now. Let's see what it comes out. That was kind of a long one still. Seems like the images are a little, not quite as bright as they used to. It's like it gave me like duller images, I feel like, this time. I wonder if it'll let me do a Fauci joke. It'll probably it still tries to stop some of the political jokes. Foul cheese. A foul cheese. Following Fauci's like following foul cheese, man. Foul cheese made of curdled bat guano. You could tell his arms made of cheese. Look at the way he throws a baseball. I tell you. Okay. Let's see if I turn on all of the things here. Where did you find this foul cheese? A Chinese freaking wet market? Okay. Here we go.
I live on a perfectly ordinary circular block. 12 houses, house 1 through house 12. Very easy to navigate. See, house 1 is right here. And it goes all the way around to house 12. Simple and straightforward. One of my friends is Fred. Fred's a music theorist. Not professionally, more like medically. Exactly, modes are real. Look at the circle of fifths. See, medically. The Fred scale has infinite possibilities. Rotate. Okay, Fred. Always rotate! Fred decided our 7 closest friends formed what he called the Fred scale. Apparently his house was Fred 1. The rest of us became Fred 2, Fred 3, all the way to Fred 7. What is all this, Fred? The Fred scale! It harmonizes everything for perfect sleep! Right. Whatever helps you sleep at night. I figured, whatever helps him sleep at night. Then Fred came over to my house. I live at house 11. According to the Fred scale, you're Fred 5 degree of the Fred scale. The Fred scale? What's that? It's simple. Fred 1 is basic, Fred 5 is awesome. So I'm awesome? Cool. I just traveled a Fred 5th to get here. A Fred 5th? What's that? It's an incredible journey through the scales of wonder. Whoa, show me. Fred, you walked 4 friend houses. No, I counted the house I started on. You can't count the start. That's why it's 5 positions. Oh, you're using scale degree. This is so good. Told you. Time to take care of this. Hey, what are you doing? Fixing this. Rob 1 stays. You can't do that! Done. Rob 1, perfect. That's better. What are you doing?
I've been here long enough.
What do you mean?
The tonic has changed.
Wait, where are you going?
To find the new tonic.
Apparently, if Fred stays somewhere long enough, the neighborhood modulates. The modes are shifting, everything's relative now. From Ionian calm to Dorian tension, the whole place transforms. Look, the pathways are glowing with the new mode, and the residents feel it too. Wait, what happened to my house? It's not Fred 5 anymore, it's Rob 1. What? But it was always Fred 5. I upgraded it. Rob 1 is much better. Upgraded with Fred's own house? Rob 4.
Nothing moved. Fred just had coffee.
Wait, what? Rob 4?
Nothing moved.
Jane's a Rob minor 7th.
A what? Jane?
Yep, on the Rob scale, she's a minor 7th, musical compatibility.
The Rob scale? I don't get it.
It's simple, she's a harmonious neighbor, a Rob minor 7th.
Okay, but why Jane?
Fred, she's 6 friend houses away.
Exactly.
Where did the word minor come from? We compare the Rob scale to the Fred scale. Look at the comparison table. So the numbers shift? Exactly. The Rob scale has a different reference point. Ah, I see now. Wait, you changed the tonic, renumbered the neighborhood, and you're still grading it against the old scale? Precisely! The Fred scale is the timeless reference. Rob's changes are just a new perspective. But that's inconsistent. You can't compare new numbers to the old system. Everything is relative, my boy. The old scale is the gold standard. That's ridiculous! Well, yeah. The Fred scale is the reference point, from which all other scale degrees are compared.
Really? All of them?
Yes, every mode, Lydian, Dorian, all of them are defined by their intervals from Fred 1.
Whoa, that's incredible.
Then Steve moved into the neighborhood. Now there were 8 friends. I thought, no problem. Hey everyone, I'm Steve. Welcome, Steve. Let's go meet everyone. Awesome, I can't wait. See? No problem at all. Yeah. Emergency meeting! The collection is at risk. We must discuss Steve.
But Steve isn't a true Fred. It's a violation.
What about the borrow protocol? Can we make it temporary?
Exactly, a temporary borrow, no permanent rights. The risk analysis is inconclusive, but it could work. After 2 hours, we've decided we'll borrow Steve into our 7-friend collection.
Congratulations, Steve. You're a homeowner now.
Thanks, I'm so excited. Okay, paid the taxes. Time to cut the lawn. Every Saturday. Ugh, this is harder than I thought. Homeownership. Hey, you're the borrowed friend, right? What? No, I'm just returning the keys. Nonsense, the status is granted. But I don't... Fred, what is this place? Welcome to the Fred scale. Every house is a musical key. So you're not just walking home, you're navigating music theory. Pleath follows a harmonic rule. That's when I realized Fred wasn't navigating a neighborhood, he was living inside music theory. Ugh, my head hurts. What's all this? It's music theory, but cooler. Exactly, same town, but we shift the tonic. So the intervals change? Right, now it's Mixolydian. See the patterns? And I'm the borrowed neighbor. Precisely, it all connects. That's the problem with ordinal systems. They don't help you find your friends. They just keep renaming the neighborhood until nobody knows where Steve lives anymore. Where's Steve? I'm right here, house 8.
But which Steve?
And I'll tell you one thing from experience. If your house ever catches fire, and you happen to live a Fred 7th away, don't call Fred. He'll show you his chart and say it's the proper way. Just... By the time he walks clockwise all the way around the neighborhood, your insurance adjuster will get there first. Gotta get there! The house! Just a routine check. No way, you're here already? Always. Sign here for the claim. Fred, you could have just turned left. Left! But the arrows said go right! The arrows are a trap. Look at this mess. But I was following the rules! Sometimes you gotta think for yourself, Fred. Ugh, my head hurts! Let's just get out of here.
That's pretty good. I don't know if it's as good as the pirate one, but not bad.